Hi, this time I'll try not to, focus on my symptoms, but I just wanted to touch upon something that's been on my mind for years now. I wonder how many people have been misdiagnosed, as for example, having fibromyalgia or functional neurological disorder or anything of that kind, uh, when in reality they have been simply either fluxed or they have other they have problems from other medications such as psych or something else, like people have neuropathy from statins, people can get neuropathy from many other meds. There are some like the list of meds causing neuropathy is quite long, and sometimes it's there in the leaflet, sometimes it's not, but you have somebody uh, saying that, okay, so I started having symptoms right after a course of this and this medication, and then it's not coincidence in my opinion. Many antibiotics can cause it actually. I heard that metronidazole or something like this can cause it. Bactrim and those types of antibiotics can also cause neuropathy and other severe symptoms. So there are people who haven't been floxed, but they have been affected by other medications. My pain is it seems unique when I look at the boards and forums and so on. And the other day I just, jumped into fibromyalgia groups, and, many people describe the sensations I get. And there are people who have, like, I wouldn't say maybe the exact same descriptions of pain, but they also talk about acid in veins, about like deep burning, about feeling like they have burning bones, like their bones are breaking and stuff. And while I know that probably there are some conditions that can cause it, I believe that the large part of fibro groups can be people who have been affected by meds, floxed, and so on. I even remember like talking to one lady who kind of connected the dots. She was in a fibro group in my country, and she kind of connected the dots that all her problems started after she was given Cipro for a UTI. So yes, this happens. I also believe that people are wrongly labeled as having Lyme disease and stuff, and in fact they suffer from iatrogenic illnesses because let's say you start having problems, you don't look at the meds because it never happened to you. It never occurred to you that you could be harmed by medication, and you never realized something happens to you. Something can happen to you after meds, and you just suddenly get sick, and you get sicker and sicker, and then you want answers, so you will go to some conventional doctors, and when they find something in your blood that just indicates you had some contact with Borrelia or whatever, they will immediately tell you you have Lyme disease and stuff. Like, I'm not saying that everyone who has severe symptoms, has been fluxed or harmed by medications. I mean, there might be people who have Lyme, really, like genuine Lyme, but there are many people who are told they have Lyme just because the society and the medical community cannot diagnose like other causes. Like toxic med injury is something that cannot be diagnosed in any other way than just association of the fact that you took a medication and then it caused symptoms, and then you might even have like positive small fiber neuropathy tests or EMGs or whatever, and it doesn't show you the cause of your problems, right? So yeah, I believe that some people who are in like Lyme groups, they might be actually suffering from antibiotic injury, especially as many people end up way worse after treatment with antibiotics, and they will be told that their Lyme is just resistant to antibiotics, when in fact it's not like there is anything that is resistant to anything. There's just med injury just followed by another med injury. Yeah, that's my opinion. I mean, you can disagree, and yeah, I know there are people who have like genuinely have Lyme, but in my opinion, this is not definitely not everyone. Definitely no. It's just I'm sorry if it's going to hurt anyone, but in my opinion, like if you have Lyme disease as a diagnosis, it's easier to accept than to accept that doctors actually harmed you, and and having a Lyme diagnosis gives you some kind of hope that it will pass, and having a med injury doesn't. And some doctors acknowledge Lyme disease and fluoroquinolone toxicity, very few ones. So yeah. That's just my opinion, and I believe personally that I'm right. Um, I don't think that. Yeah, I really believe that many people in those like small fiber neuropathy groups have been harmed by meds, like the ones that are told that their cause is idiopathic, and they just look for autoimmune causes, and they never stop looking, and they have all these tests, and none of these tests ever come positive. They just know they have the neuropathy, but never the cause of it. And I often like comment that, well, you might want to look at the medications you took before all your symptoms started, because this is how it starts for many people, and I'm one of those people. Because for me, I never knew what tingling was. I never knew what burning skin was, anything like that. No, before being given Cipro. Yeah, and to be honest, I'm kind of angry with my body that I took Cipro for 25 days before, and I stopped because I had like bad feeling about taking the last box. And if I took it, I think I would have been dead by now. But yeah, I didn't take the last box. I threw it into the trash, and I started getting symptoms after a few days. Like, I stopped taking Cipro on, let's say, my Monday, and on Friday I start getting tingling in my arm and in my leg. And it was not like, when you sit wrong, it was like, my skin was getting this static, like electricity, like there was a shiver running through it. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And yeah, that's what happened to me. And the rest is history. Like, all the symptoms get worse. Being floxed is way underdiagnosed, way, way, way underdiagnosed. And do you know what? Do you know how I know this? Because I came across a few people in my real life. I don't mean like online people who have had things happen after cirrhosis. One in my family. I mean, actually, two people in my family. Um, I have a family member who's put on Cipro when he was young, and he did have it wasn't. I don't think it was a tear. He had something wrong, very wrong with his Achilles tendon, and I think he actually connected the dots, and that's what it came. I'm kind of low-key angry with him that I wasn't told that, in time, because maybe, it would have warned me. Maybe I would have read about it, but I didn't read about it in time. But yeah, so that was my one person. Then another person in my family had a torn tendon in her knee shortly after being given Cipro, and she's like a sportswoman, and she tore her tendon reaching for something that was on the table. So like her knee, the tendon in her knee snapped, and she had to have a surgery or something. I also met a doctor who got flux himself. He was an orthopedic doctor, and he had injury to both of his Achilles tendons, and when I met him, it was years after it happened. He still waddled like a dog because his tendons were very short and like tight, and he would walk in a very weird way, and he admitted it was from ciprofloxacin. And then there was another person I talked to that I know personally that said that she had only now, after me becoming public with this information, because I posted it on posted my videos on my private Facebook page, and she said, like, she's like, oh my god, like, I'm only now realizing what happened to me a few years ago. I was given Cipro. This is what she said, like, I was given Cipro, and within the next few months to a year, I had so many weird symptoms happening, and I never realized what they were. But she talked about the classic, weird aches and pains, burning and stuff. And she recovered completely after that time, and nothing ever happened to her, I guess. I haven't talked to her about this later on, but yeah, it was like somebody who definitely, was affected by them. And there are people who are given Cipro a lot of times in their lives. Like, they might be given one box and everything's fine. Another box sometime later, everything is fine. But let's say they get another course in the upcoming years, and the effects of Cipro and the fluoroquinolone family antibiotics is like cumulative. So if you haven't been harmed by the first few courses, you still might be harmed in the future by something, but by another course. So somebody can handle, I don't know, 10 pills. Somebody can handle one pill. Somebody can handle like 50 pills. Somebody can handle 100 pills. But then there can be finally this pill that will tip the balance, and you might still get sick. So yeah, if it's somebody who hasn't been harmed by Cipro and wants to jump in with, oh, it saved me, it's a great med, I'm only react, I mean, it's the only med that works for me, blah blah blah. Yes, it is until it isn't, because it is a powerful med and it does kill the bacteria and stuff. But yeah, the risk isn't usually worth it, honestly. If you if I had known what happened, what would happen to me in the future, I would have never ever touched that crap. I would warn people about it, before something bad even happened to me. But yeah, um, I just hate it when people jump in with their it saved my with protecting, like, the medication like it's their own. I don't know. Like, they behave as if they are the ones who invented the med, because it's like, oh, it's great, oh, it's a wonderful med, and you are only lucky to have had an allergic reaction. And of course, it's not an allergic reaction, as you all probably know. It's not an allergic reaction. It's an adverse, like, adverse reaction, and that might change your life forever. To be completely honest, I wish I had had, an allergic reaction to Cipro, because that would make me not take it anymore. And my body just tolerated it perfectly, and then fell apart. And, I find it, like, really ridiculous when people try to defend, like, Cipro and these meds, which I know that they have a place in medicine, but when you're like really sick with like pneumonia or something really, really severe, like severe kidney infection, sepsis or something, and there is nothing else you can take, yeah, that's okay. I mean, that's okay. This med is, I mean, it can be used then. But other than that, it's insane. Like I told you, it's not supposed to be prescribed for UTI. So if a doctor is prescribing it for a UTI, it's not a good doctor. It is not. It's the doctor is acting against the guidelines made by official, like, government agencies. So yeah, they are a bad doctor. And I find like posts by doctors, and I even heard it in real life, where they say, we give it out like candy. I mean, this is what we do because everyone's been doing like this for years. And it's like, okay, but that doesn't, you're still responsible for following the guidelines, right? And not following your the head of the hospital old habits or something. Like, it's ridiculous. Doctors are clueless. Like, you even they even like give Cipro drops or something like this to children for ear infections, for eye infections. It's freaking insane. And they will tell you, oh, but it doesn't get absorbed into the bloodstream. One Google search and you will find papers saying that it does get into the bloodstream. It does. A very small amount, but it can be enough to harm somebody if they're given it like time and time again. And if, people fluxed by drops, or either, ear drops or eye drops, there are many people who have been fluxed by those alone. So yeah. Because it's like the same thing, like with, for example, people who smoke. Like, there are people who will get cancer or CODP after smoking for a fairly, short time. And there also will be people who smoke their entire lives and they are fine. But um, it's like, somebody, for example, you come across a video of a person like dying from lung cancer, telling you not to smoke because they smoked and they have cancer now and stuff. And there will be somebody jumping in, well, I've smoked my entire life and I'm fine. Like, why would you do that? Like, why? Because to me, it's outrageous. Like, that people can behave like this and jump in with their stupid ideas about things that actually are known to be harmful, and they will be like, oh, nothing happened to me. It kind of reminds me. I mean, it's a bit far fetched, but you have nowadays, when you have a child, you need a car seat, right? And it has to be as best as possible, because, well, everybody loves their children and wants them to be safe. But there will be something like, there's something called like survivorship bias or something. And for example, you will say, oh yeah, you need to have this very safe like car seat because it's best, like, it will if there is an accident, your child will be, will have better odds of surviving. And there will be somebody jumping in, well, in the 80s or in the 90s, we never even wore seatbelts and we turned out just fine. You did, because you never had an accident. If you had had an accident, you would probably be dead, right? And it's something like, it happens to so many people like that. So, of course, it's like some stuff will only happen to some people. But, if there's actually warning by the FDA, by the EMA, stating that this med might cause life-altering things. It might cause lifelong neuropathies, and it might cause tendon damage. Then it does happen to people. It's not like they wrote it and they're it will change that somebody will jump in on your under your video if you post something about being harmed by these medications. They will jump in and say, no, I took it and I'm fine. I mean, you are fine now. You might get worse in the future. You might not be careful about these antibiotics and take 100 more pills and then not be fine. And you might learn the hard way. You might never learn, because some people, I don't know, maybe they have other genes or something. Some people probably never get hurt by those. But it's a known fact. It's not something somebody made up. It's not something a sick person who had an allergic reaction made up. It's something that happens, and it's been scientifically proven. But you can imagine, like, you have family members who, have taken Cipro a few times, and then, they get older, they're in their 50s, and, their tendons start hurting. So nobody will ever, like, if they go to the doctor, nobody will ever connect it to the fact that this person has or hasn't taken Cipro. They will just tell them, you're getting old, so this is why it hurts, because this is what doctors do, and they will give them more pills. And doctors are clueless. Like, for example, after being floxed, you're not supposed to take anti-inflammatories and steroids, for example. And what? If you're newly floxed and you go to the hospital saying, oh, God, my tendons hurt, blah, 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 they will try to give you anti-inflammatories and steroids. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, I don't know how long it's going to take until people just freaking realize what's happening with these meds. I mean, doctors. Neuropathy is extremely rare among people who are young, and I got it when I was 28. And there are many others who have had the same thing happen from medication. And I want to warn you. I don't know, who I'm talking to right now. If you've been floxed too, if you've been harmed by other meds, or if you just came across it by accident, or just interested in the topic. But if you or any of your family members take any meds, then please check the leaflets. Please check if there isn't a huge, support forum on the internet or on Facebook or on somewhere else that, talks about people harmed by that med, because it's not something that people make up. It's something that happens to people. And yeah, check the medications that people you love, you care about, take, because it's really important that even if they decide to still take the medication, they should be aware of the potential side effects, because neuropathy is extremely rare among people who are young. So yeah, I got it when I was 28, and it's all over my body, everywhere, inside out. And it just doesn't, it shouldn't happen to anyone. Because it's one thing if you have neuropathy from something like diabetes, poorly managed diabetes. It's something else, like if you get it from some autoimmune disease. But it's like getting a disease that was completely avoidable. Like, maybe if that had never happened, maybe I would get diabetes when I'm like 60 or something, and maybe I would still get some neuropathy like then, but I would have a nice life without this crap. And sorry for the noises, but my daughter is playing. um yeah, but it's insane. And yeah, like neuropathy from meds, it's completely avoidable, and it's absolutely insane that it happens to people. And when it happens to you, you're just being gaslit by doctors. You go and they tell you, no, this isn't what happened, let's see what happened. They made you take all these tests and everything comes out fine, and they will tell you to that your cause is idiopathic. It's pathetic, not idiopathic for me, because it's like, oh, it's right there. Like, Seriously, look at this leaflet like of ciprofloxacin. It says it can cause peripheral neuropathy. I took one course, and one long course, right? And I developed peripheral neuropathy and many of the other symptoms listed in the leaflet. And the doctor was like, no, 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 it's not from that. Like, what? Yeah, and with I believe that with the tendon tears, it's a bit more, maybe people are believed a bit more because it's something that, does. I think that I read that the tears happening from Cipro, they have a very specific structure. So if a doctor knows about Cipro toxicity, then they will be able to identify if it was from that or not. But with neuropathy, it's like you will be looked at like if like you have two heads or something. That Cipro neuropathy, Jesus. That's all from me for today. So if you want, you can post something under this video and we can talk more.